So, this is going to be the evaluation of the database that I created. As you can see, we're going to be evaluating the effectiveness of the provided database with our user requirements as a tool to assist us. To this end, we're going to need to understand our user requirements thoroughly before we begin. So, without any further fluff, let's look at our user requirements. And that's a lot of text, and all of this all at once is a little useless to us, so let's get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it and move on. Instead of bombarding you with a list of the user requirements all at once and how they interact with our finished product, let's try and address them on a case-by-case basis. Let's address the fact that the most basic requirement listed and addressed by our database is the massively reduced amount of paperwork required. Something we have to consider is that when creating this database, it had to be user-friendly. That is to say, it had to be intuitive for the staff who would end up using it at the end product to be able to look at this and understand what was going on. To this end, I've introduced this text box that states if you ever need any help, your mouse will be able to hover over any of the buttons or labels in the database to receive an explanation about their purpose. To that end, if I allow the mouse to hover over this button, it'll open up the report page that shows the weekly appointments based on the day's date and 7 days ahead from that. Each button has this function. This meticulous attention to detail will ideally tackle the fact that whilst staff may not immediately understand the purpose of a button, they will be able to create detailed instruction boxes by allowing their mouse to hover over it. Staff using this database need to be able to produce daily and weekly schedules for stylists and managers, as well as have easy access to features like being able to view the details of their customers in quick and intelligent methods. To this effort, I've created a number of different buttons on the home page that will allow staff to view weekly appointments of specific staff, to view all appointments on a specific date, to click the weekly schedule for all staff, and to view an A to Z list based on the surname of all existing customers. If I click on this, it creates a report that allows the staff to view all of their potential clients, and when I move back, the weekly schedule will also appear. If we take a look at the date, we can see that most of it appears to be formatted properly, with staff name taking priority and then date following. However, there are some discrepancies, as Stevie G here has appeared much later on down the line, despite his initial appearance up here. This would suggest that the weekly schedule isn't perfect and would require more fine-tuning in order to fully meet the user requirements. Addressing another of the requirements is the ability to create daily appointments for staff by clicking here and entering a date. We can produce another report which is formatted more accurately than the one for our weekly schedule. Another of the user requirements was the ability to organize the making of appointments. Tied into this is to improve the speed at which this is done, as well as limit the chance for mistakes being made. With this in mind, let's review our appointment form. Customers can be selected quickly and easily. The ID is on the left and the name on the right. Staff receive the same treatment. Date can be selected quickly and easily. The treatments have intelligent labels assigned to them as well, and multiple treatments can be assigned to the same person. Our appointment page allows us to cycle through our recorded appointments using these navigational tools. We can create new entries, save them, undo, and even delete unwanted entries. These same buttons are prevalent throughout the staff and customer pages as well, retaining a uniform appearance throughout each for ease of understanding by the user. Another detail of our appointment page is the ability to demonstrate whether an appointment has been cancelled or whether the person showing up for the appointment failed to show up entirely. This allows staff to keep track of whether or not people are cancelling or whether they're just not showing up. One final requirement packed into our appointment page is the ability to make a receipt. By clicking here and entering the appointment ID, easily found on the same form, we can create a receipt for any specific appointment. However, our receipt does not look like a traditional receipt by any stretch. It functions, but its aesthetic value stands to be improved. Now that we've covered the user requirements that our appointment page covers, let's move on and look at what the customers form does for our user requirements. Our customer form is stylized so that members of staff are able to easily see how different aspects of it works. The same description boxes occur and exist everywhere you go. The navigation tool remains the same, and members of staff are able to search for different members of their clientele through different search functions. We can search for further customer information by using this button to view all appointments made by a particular customer. Entering the customer ID, which is found over here whenever viewing the customer details, we're able to bring up a report that shows us the appointments made by that particular customer. Having addressed everything we can on the appointment page regarding customer requirements, we're going to go on ahead and move to the staff page in order to do the same. As you can see, the same navigation exists, and this form is relatively identical to the customer form. The same search function exists, allowing for easy retrieval of staff information, and this form also does a similar function, presenting the entire staff list in an easy to read manner. As many of the user requirements met on the staff page mirror what we found on the customer page, we're going to go ahead and move to the treatments page in order to start assessing what about this meets user requirements and what about it could potentially be improved. As you can see, the treatment page once more employs the same navigation, but as it differs in function from staff and customers in that it's not just recording the details of people, it has a few extra functions that need to be addressed. Namely, and a key function about the treatment form is that staff members are able to decrease and increase not only the individual cost of treatments, but also all of them simultaneously. Something that needs to be addressed is the fact that although there is a duration label, there's no way in this database to calculate a finish time. As well as that, the navigational tools that exist throughout not only the treatment table, but staff, customer, etc., when they include the delete button, that means that anyone with access to this form can delete any appointment, any customer, any staff, and any treatment. In that same vein of questionable design choices, once more, anyone with access to this form is able to change the cost of any treatment. This means that, without it being properly guarded, a disgruntled staff member could potentially do whatever they wanted to this form. There are no safeguards put in place, no protection policies, nothing outside of the ability to trust in one's staff members to make sure that they don't mess around. However, there do exist answers to this particular problem, and we can look at them once we move back to the home page. Here, there exists a manager-only section which, when entering the password, brings us to a new form. Here, we have safeguarded behind our passworded form the ability to archive and delete all existing appointments into the archive section of our form. This allows us to back up data, and as this reminder underneath the button exists to tell us to do it at the first of each month, this ensures us that responsibility may move to the staff to do so, but we're able to back up our data monthly. Or we do apply this similar protection to other functions within the database, namely the ability to delete appointments, treatments, staffs, to change the cost, etc. We would perhaps achieve a more safe and user-friendly experience for the end product. Now that we've taken a thorough look at our database and ensured that, whilst many of our user requirements were met, that some of them perhaps fell a little short in certain areas, let's wrap this up and come to a conclusion. We can indeed confirm that many of our user requirements were met. However, there were issues with some of the forms, so a greater emphasis on fine-tuning different layouts and ensuring that things appear as they should do needs to be assured for a final product. But most importantly, there needs to be an emphasis placed on greater security features put towards an end product. As we saw with the manager-only section, that answer exists in passworded forms. However, as the database currently exists, anyone with access to it would be able to change and delete a number of functions that you wouldn't want falling into just anyone's hands. Now that we're wrapping up, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you for listening. and that I really, really like this background music. Have a good day.